The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Pendleton Fire Department, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38672. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just at the front bumper area, underneath you'll find two open-ended tow hooks. 6,000 pounds, direct pull. These are not intended as a towing device. Moving on the face of the front bumper, dual air horns, passenger and driver side. Located in the center, electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving up on to the bumper extension, D-handle gains you access into a tubbed storage location. As we move over to the driver's side, you'll find a top-mounted mechanical siren. Moving out to the edge of the front cab area, marker turn indicator light. Just inside that location, headlight structure housing high and low beam. High beam is located on the inside. Just up, turn indicator and emergency warning light combination. Moving up to the A pillar is where you'll find on the passenger and driver side a flat and convex mirror. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield, and there are 5 identification clearance lights on the roofline. As we move up to the top of the aerial device, you'll find emergency warning lights forward-facing. A couple of close-ups here of the front bumper extension. On the side, you can see a side-facing emergency warning light, and then also your front discharge. As we look inside the very center section, you'll find a swivel discharge located inside. Let's take a general view of the driver's side of the vehicle. Let's focus in on the cab section next. First, starting with the front wheel, where you'll find a visual sight gauge in the center of the Alcoa wheel. Moving now to the front bumper extension, where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up to the A pillar is where you'll find that marker turn indicator light. There are 2 door locks here, easily accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also keyed, the front cab and rear cab. There are also grab handles located at each location for gaining access in and out of the cab. Just to the rear of the front door is where you'll find your auto eject shoreline inlet and also indicator for your battery charger. As we move to the rear cab wall, this is where you'll find the fill location for your DEF fill. And as we move to the very front section of the aerial device, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Just over the cab area, you'll find at a slight angle emergency warning lights. And then also just over the front wheel is where you're going to find a side-facing scene light. Let's move to the midsection. We'll come back to this area in great detail when we cover the pump area. But first, let's start with the body section, where you'll find just in front of the tandem axle, folding wheel chock storage. To the rear of the tandem axle is where you're going to find your stabilizer pads. And then as we move up onto the body itself, you'll find your emergency warning lights. These are the lower zone. And then also stabilizer cameras at each stabilizer position. As we move to the body section upper area, you'll find a side-facing scene light, and then we move all the way to the rear portion of the body, and that's where you're going to find a emergency warning light, 360 degrees. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We do have 2 arms located on the out for marker indicators. As we move inside to the tail light cluster, you'll find an emergency warning, brake, turn, and backup light. Moving further up, you'll find rear-facing emergency warning lights. And then also to the very top section, which we previously mentioned, these are an additional set of emergency warning lights. Moving just inside that location, you'll find scene lights located on each passenger and driver side. And then as we move back down to the very bottom section above the rear bumper, you'll find the aerial inlight. It's the Pierce logo American flag eagle. Right next to that is your inclinometer for left to right. And then also we have 2 tow locations located protruding through the rear portion of the body. You'll also find at the very top a traffic advisor located at the very top section, and in the center you'll find your backup camera. We'll move around to the passenger side of the vehicle on the body section. Full view here. Focus in on the body section next. Pretty close to the same configuration and layout. We do have our exhaust located on this side. As we move to the midsection, we'll come back to this as we cover the pumping section. And then we'll move to the cab area. Same configuration and layout, minus the def location. Let's look underneath the aerial device, where you'll find two attachment points on the passenger and driver side front of the aerial device. Two downward pointing LED lights. As we move to the very center section, you'll find a sprinkler located in the center area. Aerial drain located in the forward section, and then two bumpers located on the passenger and driver side. There are additional access locations here also on the passenger and driver side. Let's move up and take a look at the front section of the aerial device, where you'll find the emergency warning lights, two discharges located here, one on the passenger, one on the driver. Also your master stream device located in the center, and at the very top section you'll find a scene light. As we move to the side of the front of the aerial device, you'll find an emergency warning light side facing, and then also in the very center area, your life bracket. Let's go ahead and move from this location and go inside the cab area. We'll start on the driver's side. First, let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and grab handles. As we move inside at the step wheel area, you'll find an air inlet that is recessed into the kick panel. And then as we move back up inside at the floor area on the vertical tunnel, this is where you'll find the manufacturing Pierce placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for the component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find the mechanical siren foot pedal right next to the brake treadle. And then as we move to about the left knee of the operator, master battery switch in the upper left, engine, transmission, ABS, J1939 diagnostic port, ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics indicator, and regen inhibit switch. Moving to the opposite side, you'll find your interaxle differential lock, and then you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions for its operation. On the left we have from road to pump, and on the right side we have instructions from pump to road. Just a reminder, you need two green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, illuminating for pump operations before exiting the cab. As we move up, you'll find your flat mirror and convex mirror, in addition with windshield wiper control, push for fluid. As we move to the dash area, you'll find the ignition and start switch on the left-hand side of the column. Also a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage and disengage all emergency lights. Headlight switch and a panel switch, which allows you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find the OK to engage the high idle indicator and also switch. Moving up to the dash cluster, you'll find on the left-hand side the transmission, oil, def level, and water temperature. On the right, you'll find front air, rear air, fuel, and volts. Located in the center is the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will display above and below the speedometer. Let's take a look just to the right of the dash area. We'll focus in on the very top section with your backup camera and also stabilizer cameras. Just below that, you'll find the aerial master, aerial PTO, an indicator for the aerial PTO engaged, platform leveling, stabilizers not stowed indicator, and a on-off switch for your stabilizer camera. As we move further down, you'll find an engine brake on and off switch, settings for low, medium, and high, a front wheel lock, off-road traction, load manager, and mirror heat. Moving just downward, you'll find the pull to apply or system parking brake. It's the yellow diamond on the left. Allison transmission pad with a push button digital readout, informational note to pump and drive. Also some caution information located here. Disengage the retarder when on wet or slippery surfaces. Climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving just to the right in this same plane, you'll find additional warning placards indicating spare wiring behind the panel and also the wiring type and option number. 12-volt access via barrel style and USB, and a siren brake. As we move overhead of the operator, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 12 feet 2 inches, 46 feet 6 inches in length, gross vehicle weight rating 82,000 pounds. Just overhead, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of the switches have been activated, the switch illuminating will indicate that it is active. Moving to the right, additional switch panel, we have high beam flash, electric or air horn selector switch, driver scene, passenger scene, and rear scene. Traffic advisor module. Moving further to the right, you'll find your PA speaker and electronic siren control module. Let's move to the under portion of the roof area in the center between the officer and driver, where you'll find your seatbelt information. Red, someone is in the seat and not belted. Green, they're in the seat and belted. Along with a do not move your apparatus when light is on, indicating you may have a compartment door open or ajar. As we move down, we do have an engine tunnel cover and also map book storage location. As we look to the rear cab, you'll find an EMS compartment in the center, 2 SCBA forward-facing seats. As we move behind the seat, you'll also find your battery charger. When plugged into Shoreline power, that will become active, indicating battery status. Once again, Alcoa wheel, Goodyear tire, visual sight gauge indicator. We're now to the rear cab portion. Let's go inside this area, but first let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window, door lock and latch combination, and a grab handle. Looking in overhead, you'll find push on and off red lens or white lens lights, your air conditioning unit, and also a grab handle at the hinge point for gaining access into the vehicle. In the center, we have this indication caution. The NFPA guidelines require all items to be secured within the cab area. Also, lift and turn latch at the rear portion of the engine tunnel gains you access for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's go ahead and take a look at the EMS compartment, roll-up compartment door, shelving located inside, and also LED lighting. In the upper portion, you'll find Shoreline outlet. This outlet will active when plugged into Shoreline power, and then also a battery direct breaker. Just to the rear of the seat on the driver and passenger side, you'll find an additional 12-volt drop. We're now to the exterior rear cab on the driver's side. This is your 7.3 DEF tank fill location, which is a blue cap. We're now to the pump panel area. Let's start at the very top with your crosslays. There are 3 located here, crosslay 1, 2, and a 2.5-inch crosslay. I would like to point out this warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because those lines coming from aloft, there's a possibility of entanglement. As we move to the top, you'll find your master intake gauge on the left and master discharge gauge on the right. In between the two of those, we have a test gauge port for vacuum and pressure. These are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. As we move down, you'll find the crosslay 1, 2, and the 2.5-inch discharges. As we move to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over in a few moments, and also warning that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after proper training. To the right, we have a wheel valve for the aerial discharge. And then as we move down to the bottom, we have a front discharge, and then also the number 2 and number 1 drivers and passenger discharges, which are 2.5 and large diameter discharge on the passenger side. At the very top, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. To the right of that, an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate, allowing it to brighten or dampen sound. We have some panel lights and an OK to pump indicator, in addition with some scene light switches. Moving further down, you'll find your aerial discharge. Once again, this is a wheel valve, and then also a large diameter discharge down in the green. To the right, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Moving further down is the tank to pump. Also in this same area, you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then also a warning that when climbing onto the vehicle, you should always face the vehicle while getting on or off. You have a water tank level indicator, that's the blue module here, and then also a push to prime air prime for best practices, at least 1000 RPMs when activation. Let's move downward on the pump panel, starting first with a danger placard. This vehicle is non-insulated and nor is the aerial device, so we have a danger placard for electrocution hazard. The number 1 driver's side discharge, which is a 2.5 inch, and also a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move down, the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is the large pump inlet on the passenger and driver's side. As we move forward, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over in just a moment. And at the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move to the forward section, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet and the Watrous placard indicating that your pump capacity is 2000 GPM. As we move to the right, you'll find an additional placard. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI, associated GPM on the left-hand side, and associated RPM at test pressure on the right side. Governed speed while in pump mode, 2050 RPMs, and we do have the 5-digit job number in the upper left corner. We do have a pull-out step that does fold out to expand the surface area. Overhead of the stabilizer, you'll find a camera. As we move into the compartments next, we'll identify the items within those compartments. First, let's start with a pull-out tray on the lower section. The release mechanism is located on the right. We have bottle storage for 2 bottles on this side. Correction, that would be 3 bottles. And then a pull-out tilt downward tray in the upper portion. SCBA bottle storage, once again for up to 3 bottles on this side. An electrocution hazard, because the equipment is not insulated, we provide this danger placard indicating that. Tandem axle, Goodyear, tires, Alcoa wheel. In between the two, you'll find the 2 SCBA bottle storage locations in between the 2 axles, and then also the fill location. This is going to be for your ultra low sulfur diesel. It will be the silver cap. And as a reminder, the Dept fills in the cab section area and the lower portion of the cab. Let's go ahead and move to the next compartment back. You can see we have an adjustable shelf and also a pull-out tray. Release mechanism for that tray is located on the lower right-hand side of the tray itself. On the actual stabilizer, we do have a warning here regarding crush hazard because of the movement of that device. All compartment doors open, gaining access into all of the compartments. As we move around to the rear portion of the apparatus, we'll start on the driver's side. First, starting with a warning regarding fall. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle, and also a fall warning. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. This is the rear scene light, which is a cup switch just above the tail lights on the driver's side. We do have a warning regarding aerial stability hazard. This is in reference of short jacking your apparatus. In this compartment, you'll find the emergency stop and indicator, also a protected switch, which is your override. And then to the right, you'll find your stabilizer power with a green indicator, and then a diagnostic USB port. This is for your maintenance team. As we move down to the remote here for your aerial stabilizers, you can find 2 joysticks on the left and 2 joysticks on the right, controlling each of those stabilizers for in and out and up and down. Also a power indicator via tally lights, and then also stabilizers not stowed. We do have the additional buttons here for auto assist level. As we look into the rear portion of the apparatus, we'll find your ladder storage for a 35-foot 2-section, 16-foot roof, 10-foot folding ladder, and a 24-foot 2-section. 28-foot section, 2-section, 20-foot roof, 35-foot 2-section. Also on the exterior, you're going to find this warning placard regarding these attachment points, direct pull only, and also a pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. The American flag Eagle Pierce logo is your aerial inlet. And then just to the right, you'll find an inclinometer from left to right. And just above that, you'll find a inlet pressure. To the right, we have a pan door. Inside that pan door is a 1.5-inch ball valve. This is the aerial drain. Here's a close-up of the inside section. A little difficult to see in this image, but there is an 1.5-inch ball valve in there. We do have a hose chute located on this side, and also a warning because of that hose chute, entanglement hazard. Also, once again, fall warning, always face the vehicle while climbing on and off, and once again, a danger regarding electrocution hazard. The equipment is not insulated. As we move down onto the passenger side, this is the hose bed lights. This is a cup switch just above the tail light section. In between the ladder drop-down area, you'll find additional access door. This is for the aerial emergency power and also stabilizer emergency power. It's a selector or diverter switch. Also, as we look inside, you'll find manual handles located here for action. These are the jack, beam, right, left, and right beam. Also regarding high pressure hazards and also tipping hazards for short jacking your vehicle. As we move to the next compartments forward, we'll find an adjustable shelf and a pull-out tray in the lower right-hand side. Then as we move to the next compartment forward, we'll find SCBA bottle storage for a single bottle. Moving now in between the two tandem axles to the next compartment forward. And now back to the tandem axle portion. Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel. In between the two tandems, we're going to find bottle storage for 2 bottles, side-facing emergency warning light, and then just in front of the forward axle is where you'll find an additional single SCBA bottle storage. Once again, we have this danger electrocution hazard. Equipment is not insulated placard throughout the vehicle. We do have extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, especially during regen operation. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. Moving forward, an adjustable shelf and also a pull-out tray. Release mechanism for that tray, once again in the lower right-hand side. As we move over the stabilizer area, you'll find a front stabilizer camera. And then as we move to the stabilizer, once again, we have a warning for crush hazard because of the movement of that stabilizer. As we move now to the midsection, we'll talk about the pump panel area. Let's first start at the very top with your cross lays. Same configuration and layout with cross lay 1, 2, and a 2.5 inch. As we move into this area, you'll find a warning placard. Once again, when climbing on or off the vehicle, always face it. You'll also find your cab lift with instructions for raise and lower. We do have some caution and some danger information. Please ensure all items are secured within the cab. And then also a pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. As we look in the double pan door, you'll find your foam drain and then additional access for inspection in this area. You have your large diameter pump inlet on the passenger side, large diameter discharge on the passenger side, and a 2.5 inch discharge. Color-coded labeled discharge drains across the very bottom. Let's move into the cab section next at the rear portion. This is on the officer side. Fixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control, and a grab handle. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights, your air conditioning unit. Also 2 rear-facing SCBA seats, and then also the 2 rear seats on the rear cab wall. We're now moving into the officer space. Let's start with the door panel, a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, grab handles, and electric window controls. As we move into this space, this vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag, and we do have a warning here regarding mounting any of equipment within this area. To the right, you'll also find on the A-pillar the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's move just to the left of the officer's seat where we have a provision here for mounting on top of the engine tunnel. And then also we do have an additional switch located here, which is your mechanical siren. As we look overhead, once again, push on and off white or red lens lights. Air conditioning unit in the center, and then also a lanyard for your air horn. All compartments open. Let's go back to the rear portion of the apparatus and we'll move into the aerial device next. We do have an access door located here. This is at the rear portion of the turntable area. This is also commonly used as a step area to gain your first step onto the aerial device. Let's go ahead and take a look inside this location here. This is your ladder controls in an emergency situation. We do have extend, retract, right, left, lower, and raise. These are for aerial device manual controls. Also, we advise a warning regarding tip over hazard. As we move around to the side of the aerial device or platform, you'll find in this compartment, this is the air bottle and also the regulator for that air bottle and fill. Pedestal area for ladder control. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. First, let's start with the general view, and we'll start at the forward position with the intercom. This is a push-to-talk intercom with volume control. As we move down to the forward section, you'll find your emergency stop push button. Right next to that is a protected switch, which is the manual basket leveling disable. And then also we have tip tracking, under basket lights, and under rung lights. At the very bottom section, we have our aerial speed for slow, normal, or fast. And then in an emergency situation, we have emergency hydraulic power. To the right, you'll find your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. This is a touchscreen and also function buttons at the lower portion. Moving down from this location, we have your nozzle control and ladder control. In the top section of the cover, you'll find your 100-foot steel aerial platform data placard per NFPA 1911 for waterway dry in a 35-mile-an-hour wind and waterway charged in a 35-mile-an-hour wind. These are your load charts when utilizing that. You also have monitor nozzle positions, and in the very bottom section, I'd like to point out an asterisk here for freezing conditions. As we move also in the cover section, you'll find warning and danger placard information. As we move to the pedestal area, you'll find your calibration for basket. This is for your maintenance team. As we move to the ladder itself, this is a 3-section aerial device. On the outer edge of the aerial device main section, you'll find a 14-foot roof ladder. On the other side, you'll find an additional toolbox. In the toolbox area, we do have a load capacity for items within this toolbox, and that is a maximum capacity of 75 pounds. As we look now to the front basket area, just a general view, and then we'll move inside the basket area and identify a few items within this area. This is the rear portion of the basket, an additional storage location. We also have the additional 100-foot steel aerial platform load chart located in here also, in addition with warning and safety information. As we move to the center section, let's go ahead and cover the items within this area. First, starting on the left, you'll find the tip tracking lights and under basket lights. Moving downward, nozzle control for lower raise, right and left stream fog. An emergency stop push button. Aerial speed for slow, normal, and fast. And then also a protected switch here for your manual basket leveling. That's an activation, and then to the right is the up-down switch. Also, you'll find your ladder control box for extend, retract, right, left, and lower and raise. Pierce command zone located here also.
As we move to the side, you'll find an audible alarm on the left and breathing air access on the right. You'll also find your under bucket sprinkler located here. There are also 2 discharges locally controlled via ball valve. And then also in the very center section, you'll find your aerial device. This is for your master stream. Moving now to the front section of the bucket, you'll find these throughout the front area. This is a secure safety point for attaching personnel. Also to the right, you'll find an additional location here for moving your control box to that area. And then also information here on your life bracket. And then also, once again, personnel attachment point. As we look to the life ladder, life eye, life support, and life winch, these are your warning placards for that device itself. Please familiarize yourself with these warning placards. Let's move to the rear section of the aerial bucket, where you'll find additional storage boxes. With the ladder in the elevated position, we're able to access the dunnage area and hose storage, and then top fill water tank location. Moving forward to that location, this is the foam tank A, which also has a warning placard not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Our dunnage area, and then also the refill aerial hydraulic system location. And also in front of that, you'll find your crosslays. Would like to remind everyone this is a non-walking surface on the cab area, and that's why we have these warning placards indicating that the surface is slippery. As we move back to a general view, this is your breathing air on the front section of the ladder. The next set of images are going to be that of the chassis, engine, and undercarriage area. First, let's start with the direct pull 6,000 pounds open-ended tow hooks. These are not intended for towing. Directly to the rear of that location, these are your tow hooks for towing the vehicle. As we move into the compartment, when tilting the cab, once the cab has been fully tilted, please raise the safety bar into position. Once that bar is in position, do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Maintain equal pressure on both the right and left lift cylinders. As we move to the driver's side battery box, just underneath you'll find the termination points for jumper studs, also the fill location for your Dept tank. It is the blue cap. From this point, we'll have additional images of the chassis, undercarriage, and then under body section. There'll be no additional audio at this point. This will conclude the additional images. We do have a short video with the emergency warning lights activated. Congratulations, Pendleton Fire Department, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38672. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.